Happy Monday!
Happy Monday, everyone. What do we got for us today?
We went to Costco.
We did go to Costco. Costco is always fun,
Well,
never cheap.
It's true. And Costco on a Friday night, nothing better.
Nothing better to fill up your cart full of Costco items.
2 carts.
And while we were there, we thought, you know what, it'd be pretty cool to just kind of walk around Costco and see is there anything there useful for us crazy fish keepers. And we found 5 things.
We did.
5 things that might be useful for your fish keeping hobby at Costco. So what do we have? What's the first thing?
Well, some of these things are really great because they can be used elsewhere in your house and then also get a couple extra for the fish room. Rope lights.
And how are we using those?
Well, besides using them for Christmas and outdoors and all that, stocking up for that, you can use them apparently to illuminate your fish tanks. Don't you know somebody who does that?
We did. I do. We actually did a fish room tour of Tim's fish room. I'll put that in the upper right hand corner as well as in the description below where he used them. He wrapped them around PVC to illuminate his tanks. Look pretty good, and it's a cost-effective way to light a tank.
Now, normally these are $20. Sometimes you can get them on sale. And they're 18 feet long. And these ones, I don't know if all of them do that are sold, they have like 8 different color choices.
Yep. So if you want to have a red tank, a blue tank, a yellow tank. Now, obviously, most of the time, you're going to want to just have your tank look normal, and that is an option as well. But they're pretty cool. So what's the second thing?
Also on the subject of lights, shop lights.
Shop lights. Yeah. We actually have a tank in our fish room that has a shop light, the 125 Oscar tank. We have a couple Phoenix Stingrays, and then we also have a 4-foot shop light. How much was the shop light, generally speaking?
$28.
So that is significantly cheaper than if you were to try to buy a 4-foot light for a fish tank. In most cases, the only downside to this light, I think, is the Kelvins. I think it's right around 4,000. So it's going to be a little bit of a warmer light. A lot of the fish tank lights, they're going to be up around somewhere between 5 to 7K. This one's about 4, so it's going to be a little bit warmer, and therefore maybe not quite as good as growing plants. But if you're looking for a really cheap option to illuminate your fish in your tank, this might be for you.
Okay.
What do we got next?
Industrial shelving.
Industrial shelving.
Yeah. Powder coated.
Powder coated.
Sounds cool.
Yes, it does. Powder coated industrial shelving.
Sounds tough.
Now this is pretty cool. What do we have in terms of the size for this thing?
Well, I believe it is 72 inches tall, 77 inches wide, and 24 inches deep. So that's a pretty nice.
And you get
size.
How many shelves? 4 shelves,
4.
I think. Yeah. So this was a big shelving unit, which you could certainly use in your garage, right?
Oh,
if you just wanted to.
it says you can use it anywhere. Of
You can
course,
use
we
it
think
anywhere.
use it in your fish room.
Absolutely. So the nice thing is with this thing being 77 inches wide, it could hold up to a 6-foot tank. Now it has 4 shelves. You'd have to adjust the shelving, maybe only use 3 shelves instead of 4 to kind of make sure you have the height. And it holds, I think it was, what, 1,500 pounds per
Yes.
shelf?
Oh, yeah. It's a serious bad boy there.
Yeah. Now what you probably want to do is put wood or some type of foam down on top of like the steel grating that they have. But this could be an option. Now, I'm not necessarily too sure if I would put like a 125 or a 150 on these shelves. At least according to the specs, you could 1,500 pounds for a 125, but you're getting really close to that maximum capacity. So maybe I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that, but certainly you could throw a couple 40 breeders per shelf, maybe a 55-gallon or a 75-gallon, have a little bit of space left over for something else. But this is potentially a really cheap way to have multiple racks. So you could at least go 3 levels. And then what was the general cost?
About $160, so I think that's very comparable with a lot of other places.
That's not too bad. So industrial shelving is something you could be looking at. And then what's the next thing?
And if you're at Costco buying furniture or other large items, throw in a rack or 2.
Sure, why not?
Right?
Absolutely.
Now we're going to go a little smaller. Going to move to totes.
Totes.
And we actually have some of these totes, actually quite a number of them in our garage.
We do.
They're 27-gallon. They're the real nice
27-gallon.
black, really sturdy ones with the yellow lids.
Right. So you have to be really careful when you're using totes as like fish tanks. We use them as grow outs, grow out bins. And so sometimes you'll hear me say, oh, we're putting these fish in a grow out bin. They're usually 27-gallon totes. They are the black totes with the yellow lids. And what's nice about them is they're a more rigid sort of material, so they're not going to bow out if you fill them with water. We've had them in our fish room for quite some time. They've been working out really well. It's a nice thing if you've got some fish that are growing out and you don't necessarily need to see how they're doing, like when they're small fry. You just throw them in these black grow-out bins, throw a couple sponge filters in, and you're ready to go. And the cost?
Rock. $8.50 each.
$8.50. So you think about it, 27 gallons. So the closest, I think the equivalent that we have for a tank is a 29 gallon. And if you're buying those new at the $1 per gallon sale, well, you're paying 29 bucks for these. You said $8?
Yeah, $8.50.
$8.50, and you get 27 gallons of water, so that might be pretty good for a grow out. And then what's the next one?
But wait,
There's more.
I didn't tell you why you would want to get these at Costco specifically, these totes.
Why?
Because you're getting really large things and you can just put them in the totes and then it's easier to carry in, because that's the worst part about going to Costco is getting all the stuff in.
That is true. All right, so what do we have next?
Totes.
We already did the totes.
Now we're doing smaller totes.
More totes. And what size are these then?
These are 12.9 quart, which works out to be 3.25 gallons a piece, and you get a 4-pack for $10.
So basically you're getting 3.2 gallons of water for $2.50, which is pretty good. Now these totes would be really good if you've got fry, if you've got eggs, maybe you need to put an air stone and let the eggs develop. We've got small fry that you want to set aside, let them grow out. This might be a very good option, and it's very cheap. So if you were trying to buy a 2.5 gallon tank, let's say, you might spend $10 just for that one 2.5. Mm-hmm. Here, you get a little bit more size, more volume, and a lot cheaper. So that is a good deal.
Yes, and I've actually got my eye on one of these for a project that I'm doing.
Awesome.
On my other channel. So I hope you enjoyed our little trip to Costco and all the great things that you can get for your fish hobby.
And by the way, if you want to see a really cool dollar store video we did, I think it was 10 things, check that out right here. Appreciate you being here, and we will see you in the next one.
Bye. Have a good week.